Okay, what's going on, everyone? I hope these settings are all right. Looks like I have the wrong chat set up on the left-hand side of this, but we're not going to be on the screen for too long, so it won't matter. How is everyone doing? Austin, Archin, I can never... I know I see your name a lot, but I never asked how to actually pronounce it. We've got some of the SD crew, Kairos, Michael, Phone Blast. What's going on? Will this stay up on the channel? Yes, this will stay up on the channel afterwards. Um, can't wait to hear how I zigged when I should have zagged. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But yeah, this will be up on the channel. This will stay here. No worries about that. Hot and gross lawn work day. That is, yeah, hot and gross. Hopefully, I have my AC unit on right now. Hopefully, it's not. That actually might be what that fuzz is. Um, it is warm here, so I may be turning the AC on and off as we go. Give me a second here. That should eliminate any fuzz. But as it gets hot, I will probably turn that back on and off as we go. But yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and get into what we're actually here for. Yeah, so let's first talk about the layout. This is a rough estimation of the layout. I don't have exact measurements. It's, I think, fairly representative of what it was. I am actually going to swap us over to this really quick because I do have all of the angles to kind of show like what the players could see and all of that. So this is kind of like standing from backfield out in the open, the right hand side. You can see there's a lot of different angles you can kind of look and hold down and catch people out when they're peeking, which is why we saw, well, one of the reasons we saw a lot of people just playing out in the backfield, not on a particular piece of cover. But if we move into the specific pieces of cover, here is the back right piece of cover, which is very exposed, very not safe. It has lines on things, but you're not really going to see many people playing this position just because you're not. The only thing you're really safe from here is if we switch over back to the map, you're safe. Say you're playing on red side because it kind of looks like the angle we're here. If you're here, the only thing you're really safe from is Austin. Thank you. That noise caught me by surprise. I hope your work shift goes well and you can catch up on all of this afterwards, or if you finish your shift and we're still going, we'll see you then. But thank you. I really appreciate that $10. So say you had someone on the opposite team get into their middle side cover pieces. That's really kind of what you're going to be safe from, and kind of their mid, but you're so exposed from so many other lines that this really didn't see much play at all from what I remember while watching. Okay, next piece of cover, we have the back left piece of cover, and this saw a lot more play. This saw a fair number of people doubling, sometimes even tripling up on this piece of cover, if I remember correctly. You're protected from that left-hand side pretty well. Your middle pieces, you're still, gonna get picked at. If you're solo on it and you're on this left-hand side and you're tucked in, you're decently protected. But the thing, like I mentioned, is you're seeing people double or sometimes even triple up on these piece of cover. So it's hard to stay safe when you've got one or two more bodies in this piece of cover. And I saw people get punished for it, but this did seem to be the most played piece of cover throughout the course of the day. And then moving on to the next one, we have the middle, like not true middle, but the middle back piece of cover. So this piece of cover right here is where the other most used piece of cover throughout the course of the event. And that, getting used to, sorry, switching over my hotkeys and making sure I'm hitting the right stuff. Uh, so again, we saw a fair number of people doubling up here, and I'm not particularly a fan of doubling up on cover when you can avoid it. On a field layout like this, it's kind of hard to avoid, but in terms of what you can see from the right-hand side, you can get not a great angle, but a decent angle on their back right, which would be the back left piece of cover we just talked about. So if they're doubled up on this, you're going to have probably a decent shot on that front person. But like I mentioned, if you're up in there tight on the back side of it, this angle's probably not going to catch it, or it's going to have a much harder time trying to take out like maybe a foot peeking out the back side. Again, plenty of free and easy shots on the person on that super exposed piece of cover. And from the left-hand side, you have an even better slight angle on that back piece we were just talking about. But trade-off is you are also more exposed by going to it. Then we've got the side pieces of cover, which also did not see a ton of play off the break. We do see people move into them after field position has been kind of gained and secured. But yeah, not the most off the break friendly. So we're looking like, if you can get in here though, as you can see, you've got a nice angle on their middle back piece of cover. So there's certainly value to this if you can get there, but yeah, it's getting there safely is the big question mark on this. And the next, the one 5 feet forward, kind of similar thing, just a slightly more extreme angle. But the trade-off for these is if you have not cleared out this back player here, or their floating roaming player in the backfield, they can just swing wide and have a free and easy line towards you. Like that shot is pretty, I'm not gonna say easy to make, but should be a pretty standard shot to lock in from 60, 70, 80 feet away for a Springer player. So there's not really much use in this cover down here unless you've cleared out their right side of the field. So yeah, that's those side pieces of cover. And then we've got one more, which is the scrolling over, the true middle piece of cover. And this is one that I would have liked to have seen more utilized, but it started to see some use, but it didn't. I don't think I saw people going for it as much as I would have necessarily liked. And that may have just been down to teams locking people down off the break and not feeling comfortable trying to get that entire half of the field, which was, I think, would be a 90-foot run. I think the field, or was it 80 foot? Was the field 160 by 80? It was 160 by 80. It was either 160 by 80 or 180 by 60. I can't remember. But yeah, this is kind of, a lot to work with in this middle angle. And you're applying pressure from that location, which is something I really value. All right. So that is the field layout. Let me catch up on chat here really quick. Confirmation, the back left cover was good. Tucking in tight was important, as mentioned. Imagine the back right cover would be to cover against closer middle side. We swap on back over here. So this, like we mentioned, is just it's just so exposed. If you're tucked into the back of it, you're not as exposed to this player, but here, often there was a roaming player. Like, yeah, that's a longer shot, but it's still something you've got to be aware of. You're basically exposed to like half of their team at best playing this position. So if you're playing this position, you may as well just be back here. Add an extra 10, 15, 20 feet, and you allow yourself mobility. The fact that you can really kind of just roam across this portion of the field to either lock down this line or, you see someone making a move and you see like this person running from, cover to cover trying to make a move. You can more easily kind of react to things as opposed to, being stuck in a spot that's not that safe. Um, Randall, thank you. Confirmation 160 by 80. That's good. Get in the middle of death sentence. Was a death sentence. Shot a lot of people going for that mid cover. Yeah, so if it's an 80-foot run and you can't apply pressure somehow, it is rough. It feels like it leads towards a very certain play style, or a limiting kind of, these are your options, which is why I think we saw a lot of teams doubling up these pieces of cover. And then you'd have like a roamer or something. But that is the layout. Let's see. There were a couple players who could push the snake cover off the break and really tuck in. Forward snake offers them a little more protection, anything other than a straight shot. People danced around that back cover, but they couldn't tuck in anywhere and be safe. They just used it as a tool to aid in dart avoidance. Yeah, just getting into the middle cover. I feel like you need to be, so like say we're coming from blue side. If you can get in here, like that's great, but all this player has to do is peek out and they're applying pressure. So your odds of you staying safe here seem rough if the other team is aware and coordinating, well. It feels like you need to, if you get here, be getting at least one tag quick off of this. So at least, you're applying pressure, you're a distraction, which is super valuable, but you're getting at least a 1-for-1 trade. Because then if you're doing this distraction work here and say, there's that 2-2 setup that we talked about, and you get one, but now there's 4 players looking at you, that allows the rest of your team to do some work. The back of the 2 snake covers what you're saying. Okay. Good angle on mid. Yeah. Either, I think most of my statement still stands for this spot though. It's not somewhere I think you can hold long term. I think it's, you get in, you draw attention, you get at least one, ideally more, and then your team is taking advantage of that. Can I number them? Let's see. If we go, we're not gonna number. I'm gonna take do a bunch more layers and all right, fine, do it. Cover numbers. That's not how you spell numbers, but that is how you spell it now. That's not even gonna work. It's gonna make a whole bunch of layers to do the thing. If it comes down to it, we'll do it later. But I want to get into footage right now. Void team. I hope the Void team is having fun hanging out today. All right, let's look at some actual footage. Left cover can watch snake for a push. Teammate did it while I covered right side. The one time he doesn't do it, we get wrecked on the finals. You still won that round. So it still ended up working. All right, let's I realized, so I've got like a TV set up as my third monitor. So I'm looking up at chat and like my OBS and all that. So anytime I look up, I'm looking at chat and I just saw my face in the webcam. And I'm like, what's going on up here? Like, oh, that's super attractive. Maybe we'll just get rid of that. Uh, all right. So first match is Frontline Foam versus Red Tide. And we have two camera angles. Thanks to Fish. Again, I put his link to his channel that he streamed from in the information. For sure, you know, drop him a subscribe. He posts some stuff about boss games as well. Super cool guy, super appreciative of all of the work he did. But yeah, all right, let's get into the footage. First match, Frontline Foam on the right, well, depending on camera, and Red Tide on the left. We'll see what the initial layouts look like. We're going to pause. We're going to do this after probably each game, and we're just going to get an idea of what the team layouts or team setups look like. So we've got the red side is 2, 2, 2, 2, and 1 floating. And then we'll hop on over to the other side. And this is that almost 3, but it's a 2 roaming, 2 back, 1 mid. I think this was kind of the standard for Red Tide, if I remember correctly, throughout most of the day. So we'll swap on over King here. Oh, and I just ruined my colors. That's awesome. Let's fix that. And blue. Okay, so we had 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. All right. So this is kind of, I feel like, what we're going to see a lot of for the matches. Who can get the pick first is what a lot of this is going to come down to off of the break, since no one's really playing aggressive, no one's really pushing. And yeah, we're gonna watch how things play out here. So we've got 1 lost from Red Tide, and I think they traded out 1. Yeah, no, they got 2 off. So switch back. They tried to move. Frontline Foam tried to move off of their getting a back player out, and they were punished for it. I don't know if this is Derek over here. I have not switched back. My apologies. That is terrible. I'm going to rewind this. And we're going to point out what happened again because I don't know how to hit buttons. So 67's going to get tagged out here. And as that happens, Derek sees this in the backfield here. Or that's not Derek, that's someone else, sorry. I don't know who that is, but they see it and they go, I'm going to move off of it. But Derek and one of their other players get tagged out immediately in response, meaning there's no pressure to help this move be successful. And so they get punished. How are you looking at the map? On my side, it shows the field and everything happening. Are you still seeing the map? Should make sure I'm not wait for chat to catch up. I don't know if there's like a super long delay or something's wrong on my end here. Anybody? Anything? Not getting a response is making me think. Okay, there's a massive delay. Interesting. Okay, well, that's good to know. All right. So there's a super long delay. I will keep that in mind. Thank you. Sorry for the lengthy pause there. All right. Getting back in it. So immediately punished, and this should allow a lot more freedom for Red Tide to move up. If the multicam will swap over, I'm hitting the wrong buttons, that's why. They actually get a pick in return, so it's down to, instead of a 4v2, a 3v2, but we see Real New Deal running up the right-hand side, so what was a setup like this is now a setup like this. Boom, boom, boom. So clearly advantageous for Red Tide. We should see Real New Deal pick up this tag right here, I would assume. And then from there, they should be able to move up and, run up this side, move up here, and be able to pinch this final player. So let's see how this plays out. So that does happen there. We do see that middle player get tagged out. Real New Deal does get tagged out in response for it, so they do get the trade. So 2v1, they should be working to split the attention here. But I think what happens, I think this round gets super drawn out, if I remember correctly. I think this round might end in a draw. Ruffle says, got super excited getting the tag on Derek and didn't realize there was another stack and got traded out. Okay, so that explains that. So yeah, this was a draw. Just getting confirmation. Okay, so what I would have liked to have seen is swap over back to the map. As mentioned, since we no longer have Real New Deal over there, I would have liked to have seen, oh, we don't have, we have this player back here. That's all. And then we have this and this. I would have liked to have seen Manatee move up here. And okay, so someone got tagged out in a minute at some point, it looks like. I would have liked to see movement off of each other to further the position. Because if Manatee moves up, actually I think moving the opposite side is probably safer given the line. You can move up and get better angles on things and draw attention. That allows the other player to move, and then you've got better angles on things. And while this player on the bottom is moving, Manatee should be peeking out, applying pressure, getting the tag if possible. That's what I would have liked to have seen. Bagel, okay. So yeah, let's see who gets tagged out. Is it Manatee or is it Bagel that gets tagged out? Okay, so Bagel has a knee issue that doesn't allow them the speed to move. Okay. So Manatee did move up, going left side, like I mentioned. So was Bagel? Oh my god! I apologize for not having the screen up again. I will get better at this. This is the first time messing with this setup. So I'm gonna back this on up. Real quick, we can just talk about really quick. Again, Manatee does move up, as mentioned. Timothy, I feel you on that. A lot of Dauntless players have talked about how we're not in good shape as well. So Bagel, this is something I'm curious about. Bigelow moves to the left, like thinking to go to this far side, and then shifts back towards the mid, um, and gets tagged out for it. Obviously, had they decided, let's go in a straight line, they probably would have been safer. But I wonder if there was an idea, a thought to uh, maybe go for that mid piece. I don't know. But yeah, so then from here is where it turns into a draw, 1-1. Uh, I'd love to know how many darts Manatee used here. Uh, it sounds like it's a decent amount. Enjoyed Q3 is getting your toes wet in terms of FPT. Yeah, I mean, look, anytime can play competitive, uh, you know, I'm probably there and enjoying it. So this is gonna get drawn out. Hi, Derek. This is, yeah, I don't know what else I would have done differently in this situation. I don't know that I would have done much. Hi, Ton. Uh, Differently in frontline foam's position either. He was down and he, you know, didn't get the loss. He stayed alive. He did what he was supposed to. When your team's down, you pretty much play for the draw. Is kind of the way the rule set works. Okay, so we didn't burn through a ton of ammo. Even your practices, Timothy, things that we weren't expecting. Yeah, competitive brings out a lot of scenarios that you may not be expecting, which is why practice is huge. Okay, second round. Let's look and see if our setups are the same. So we do have a different setup for Red Tide. It's the standard kind of 2-2-1 that we saw a lot of. And let's see. We have an aggressive start for frontline. Like a 2-on-1 plus 1 running wide, trying to get to that mid cover. He gets there? If he not get tagged, we'll see in a second here. Dan is blocking the view, so we can't tell if he's still there. Red Tide does lose 1 off the break here. They lose. Okay, so they did lose that side field, that side mid player as well. I want to talk about something really quick here. Willis, I appreciate that. Definitely spend time with family. I hope your dad has a great birthday. So seeing something I saw a lot of, that I see a lot of just in competitive in general, that's kind of a thing for me that I try to get into players' heads, is I see way too much peeking from the same angle repeatedly and staying out for too long. It's like Derek did switch up the angle he was looking at, which was nice after like 3, 4, 5 seconds of staying out on the right hand side, but he also just stayed exposed for how many seconds is that? Let's count this, because this is like, it's one of those things that, like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't seem important, but to me, like, it is. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. He's up and exposed, and that should be a shot competitive players hit, and they did. That's how you get punished, is overexposing and peeking the same angle repeatedly. So yeah, that's just a kind of a personal thing that I would try to bring up a lot. So we've got 2 players down on Red Tide. Or yeah, 2 players down on Red Tide, 2 players down, 3 players down on Red Tide, and 2 players down on Frontline Foam. So let's back up and let's take a look at this. We because, yeah, I want to see what happened on both sides here. This is definitely, we're going to take our time. We're going to, you know, this is probably not going to be a fast endeavor, but we'll piece through everything. So I think that's Bagel again in the back piece of cover. Staying, again, kind of similar, like their heads peeking up over that cover for, you know, not nearly as long, but again, another downside of putting two people on one piece of cover is it limits the directions you can peek. You know, if one person's peeking one side, you have to step out even further to peek that same side. So it's easier to kind of predict some shots and put some things out there that may just incidentally hit someone peeking out. So yeah, it's that unfortunate trade-off of this setup. So lots of just trades happening. All right, so that's how we got to 2. So it's a 3v2 advantage for frontline here. And they get the tag out on the backfield player, who probably was being way too static in this backfield position. He's trying to straddle the cover. I'm gonna bring this up. So something I like to do that I do think is a good thing is straddling cover. So like if you have an angle piece of cover, you kind of shift back and forth, side to side on it to kind of try and get some value from it, even if it's not an optimal place. But if you're just sitting on it in like this position, you're still going to get shot. It's not an ideal setup. It's not somewhere you want to sit long term if possible. So he would have been better further back again and just mobile, just shifting, making the shots harder to hit. So yeah, that's just a little thing there. Probably one of the reasons, you know, if you're crouched over thinking this is going to give me, you know, cover, it's probably not going to work for you. So now we're down to a mirror situation. The 2 strong pieces of cover on each side is what we're seeing for both teams. This one does not end in a draw, from what I remember. See who does someone make the move, or is this an overexposed from 00 and they get tagged out and punished in response? Because they are just standing, like please tag me standing. I don't know if they're trying to like drop shot. That might be what they're trying to do, is just get an angle high enough to try and drop it down over the piece of cover onto someone's head. I think in this situation, you know, Manatee moving up to true mid cover should be relatively free to do. And then from there, Bagel could possibly move up. That's not Bagel anymore. That's someone else. They should be able to move up and fill there, and they'll have a little bit more forward presence. And this is one of those things as well with all of the free information. The fact that, you know, both teams have perfect information since you have people all over the field making calls. It does make it even more difficult to make moves. Manatee makes the move. I think making the move on the left-hand side. Okay, and it was a punish on an over peak. That same peak he's been doing for the last minute straight. Okay, it's Raffle. All right. The 30 is Raffle. So yeah. The Manatee moves. Raffle gets the tag off of the pressure from it. And from here, Moving, good, good. They're moving off each other. They go opposite sides, which is the right play. Good. Okay. That played out how it should have. Anytime you have 2 players to 1, you should always be going opposite side to each other. Don't give them the easy opportunity to get 2 free tags because you lined up and just, you know, wanted to hand them the highlight reel shot. All right, Greek guy, I'm back. We're doing some streams with footage when we can get it. All right, let me catch up on chat here because I have just been staring at the footage. All right. If you can't get a point, then no one gets a point. That's the way you have to do it. Like, if trying to get a point is more dangerous than no one getting a point, the choice gets made. David, I am glad to be looking at some gameplay footage. How are you doing? Do they have football style sideline cam, like someone just moving on the sides of the camera? Not really right now. We just had these 2 cameras set up, streaming and recording. There were other people filming from the sideline, but nothing like official following things super close. So yeah. He said something along the lines of, I guess they don't like to play Nerf in SoCal. Who said that? And he proceeded to mow down the competition. Made numerous passive aggressive. I feel like I'm missing something, but it's all right. Competitive is what gets you the win, not what looks. Yeah, that comes down to just how the way the games are put together. Everyone is running late, including your dad. Looks like, all right, well, hang out with us for a little bit longer, Willis. Glad to have you. Okay, caught up on chat now. Let's get into the 3rd round, which looks like it is a far faster round. So this will be interesting to see what happens off the break here. So back to the same setup as the 1st round for Red Tide. And let's see what... they're going super aggressive for frontline. All right, so it looks like it's going to be like a 2-2-1, but aggressive. And what ends up happening is one of the frontline players goes straight for mid, but stumbles and rolls, and it looks like gets tagged. Yeah, gets tagged while they're rolling, it looks like. And they lost 3 players off the break. This is nigh impossible to come back from this situation. 2v5, you have no field position. Like, if they had true mid cover and something else, there's a chance teams can get overly greedy. You can make them pay for it. But yeah, 2 in the back safe cover, that's gonna be a rough one. I respect what's going on here. The thought of, I need to do something and not be stuck in this cover. But running all the way across the field, I don't think is the right call to the piece of cover that gives you nothing in terms of safety. He gets 1, so he wasn't traded out for nothing. But I think moving up to that middle back piece of cover instead is, 1, safer, and you still could have gotten Manatee out while running. Because if we look at this run, if he goes at the same time and he just moves up to that piece of cover, he'd be in cover like now and still have a line on Manatee. So yeah, but I respect the idea of, I need to do something. I'm not going to sit in cover and just wait for us to get tagged out. That is correct, to do something there and try and make something happen, rather than, we're doubled up, let's just sit here until we get tagged out. So respect the effort. It just wasn't put in the right place. All right, so that results in a Red Tide 2-0 win. Second match is we've got Bad versus Nebula? No. Bad versus Void. All right. Bad versus Void. Bad is here on the right-hand side, the blue side, and Void is on the red side. Make sure I'm not missing anything in chat before we get started. You stand the risk of getting tagged by a Springer at all times. Why would you ever push? You would push because you need to tag everyone out to get the round win. So yeah, like you have to take the risk, some kind of risk at some point. It's just a matter of what risk do you take. So yeah. All right. See what these setups are here off the break, if we've got standard or not. This is looking like standard from Bad, 2-2-1. And then if we swap over to the Void side, we've got a mid rush from Jurian, who gets there and immediately starts trying to apply pressure and gets punished for it. This is something that I've said, I think, multiple times. If you get into an aggressive piece of cover that you know is a important piece of cover that's going to draw attention, you don't need to peek right away. You can chill. Like your presence there pressures the other team because they know you're there. If they stop looking at you, you have a line on 3 of them. Like from this position, if we swap over to the field view again, we've got the, we'll say, blue side here. So oops, wrong color. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's just pressure you can apply from this middle spot. Oh, there's Blake talking about the move from the last round. Only 6 starts. Yeah, that's tough. Like I said, you made the right decision to try and make something happen. I just think moving up to this piece of cover rather than wrapping wide may have served you better. Super hard position to win from. Like you're looking at like a less than 1% chance of winning that round, but making a move is better than not in that position. So that was the point I wanted to get across. But yeah, if Jurian from Void can stay here and not get tagged out, that's pure pressure. That, you know, once they stop looking at him, which the sidelines can let him know because they can call, he can then, you know, take shots or peek out, or, you know, no one's going to be able to make a move or peek out too far while you've got this lockdown. Plus, you don't have 2 people in this piece of cover, meaning it's easier for that person to move around and get, you know, shots on people without being overexposed. So I think there's value in if you can get someone here and stay there. Okay, so let's see how this plays out. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. Again, Dream was peeking the same direction every single time. So we're a 4v4. It's a floating. Ton is straddling that back piece of cover, just trying to hug it as much as he can while getting shots in. From this line, this back left player and this roaming player, I feel like should be taking shots at Ton. He doesn't have pressure on him right now, so he can sit on that piece of cover and not get punished and have a little bit of safety and not need to move around as much. Although seeing this now, before we see Anthony making a move here, realizing this back player is on a flywheel blaster, which is probably why they cannot pressure Ton in the back here. That I don't recommend having a flywheel player in the backfield for the obvious reasons. I don't know exactly what their setup was that prevented them from being able to have a Springer back there, or if something just shifted in the last minute. But yeah, that makes it difficult. We've got Anthony making a run here, and it looks like he gets in and is immediately pressuring Ton. So he sees that nothing's happening for that side and decides to make something happen on his own, which is solid. I respect that, but gets tagged out before he can do anything. Though Ton does get tagged. Who does Ton get tagged out by? I don't know who Ton gets tagged by, but the fact that he does uh makes me feel like that move from Anthony was worth it. You got a 1-for-1 trade off your move. Their roaming player is now down. However, you lost your roaming player in response, and now John is making a run up this left-hand side. And it's a 3v2. You're caught reloading, so they can't shoot him on the move. And they're just picked apart in a 3v1 here now. Yeah. What else could have been done differently is not have flywheels in the backfield. Like, I feel like that limits so much and makes it harder for the rest of your team to move freely and kind of accomplish the things they need to. Because Anthony had to move from this back piece of cover to apply pressure elsewhere, when he could have maybe moved to that true mid piece of cover instead and done some work from there if someone else could have applied that pressure to Ton in the back left. Yeah, let's see if they make any adjustments here off of the break for the second round. We have a false start from Ton falling over. Also, that's right, there were whistle issues. They ended up just ditching the whistle and switching to a go, go, go call. I love this ref, by the way. Want him back at many other things. All right, looks like a safer play from Void off the start here. Just a standard 2-2-1. And for bad, we've got a slower, a super aggressive start for Anthony. So you'll notice it's slower, the team, in that bad is trying to get a bunch of tags off the break here. Everyone is shooting off the break. Which, if you get a tag, great. But no one looks like got a tag off of this. So you've got 4 people not in cover by the time, 5 people not in cover by the time the entire Void team is set up. And this is just rough. Anthony gets tagged off of the break. You've got 2 people roaming. Lose another one, another 2. Just letting the other team get set up. That's rough. There's, again, this is down to a 2v5 situation. They're moving up off each other. They've got both wings out. This is one of those that's just, you're going to have a hard time coming back from. Michael's out exposed, trying to dodge as many darts as he can. But at the end of the day, a team bearing down on you, there's not much you're going to be able to do. So yeah, Void wins that 2-0. I get the idea, again, of let's try and get some off the break, but it just shows it's so punishing if you don't get them off the break. If you got 2 tags there off of that initial movement, then yeah, you know what? That probably pays off, probably feels really good, and you can move from there. But it's just high risk, high reward, medium-ish reward, and the risk clearly won out there. All right, match 3, Nebula versus Red Tide. Red Tide on the right, Nebula on the left, and reverse when I swap over, obviously. All right. This is the 2 floaters, 2 back left, mid. This time, though, Manatee is in the back left rather than up in the middle like we've seen him previously. And let's see, for Nebula, a mirror sort of setup here. So both teams playing the same kind of game here. Nebula loses the first player. This is kind of just who can get rid of the floaters first. And they got someone from that middle cover. Was that Real that got that tag? No, because Real's not even... Who got that tag and where were they peeking from to hit that? Curious. I want to see what angle, because it feels like they should get shot from the right-hand side of the field. But Real's not taking any shots. Okay, looks like an elbow got clipped. It's probably hard to see on the stream, but there is an elbow peeking out of that cover, it looks like. It looks like that might be what Raffle hit. Let's see. So Mana switches to being back on the back left cover for the rest of Q3. Okay. So it's down now to just 1 floater, 2 back pieces of cover. It looks like this cover, I think this cover gets, this is the round the cover gets knocked. And this cover is super safe now. It's like complete safety cover to have shots from. Still, it's a 5v3 though. Like, Nebula still has a shot here because there's been no pressure, no like advancing up by Red Tide yet. Like they need to hit shots off of this. Mana moves up finally. It looks like, okay, so they did get a tag somewhere off of that. And they do get this last tag. So it's a 5v1 now. They finally start to move up. I feel like going aggressive earlier probably was the call. At least to me. If you've got this setup where you're not even, you know, it's what they were set up how they had 2 here. Was that what it was? Or 1 there. So it was something. They had 1 floater, something like, it was something like that, I think. No, it was like this. Eli had a blaster failure. Okay. I feel like when you've got such a dominant position, like, you can move up off this. So this moved here. As this person came over or moves over out of the line, this can move here safely. This is here. This moves in to fill this. Then I feel like as soon as you get 1 tag, you get that tag down to 2, or even on 3, you aggressively go wide both angles and you shove. And they've got 3 directions to look at you. And they need to hit every single shot. Otherwise, you just clean them out. This is a thing that I felt like all day I kept seeing just a lot of like hesitation. And that I get that playing for the picks, being safe, being methodical feels logical. And in certain rounds, I wanted to 100% agree. But I feel like there were multiple rounds where aggression was the play. And obviously you weren't punished here. You won the round. You just did it in a different fashion. So like, it's not like, oh my god, this was terrible. Um, just a different take on it. Okay, so let's move into round 2 of this match. See if any major changes are made here. We do have a change from Impulse, or from Impulse, that's the blaster, from Nebula. It's down to a 2-2-1. And we have that same setup that Red Tide is running, which is now we're just going to call their default. They do lose R&D pretty early on. Let's see if they get a trade for it. Eli does get traded out, so it is a 4v4. There's one floater for each now. Is that that looks like a Mark III on the Nebula floating player. I'm pretty sure it's a Mark III. This goes back to my previous statements on having a flywheel player in the backfield as your roaming player. It's not using them to the best of their capabilities, what they can possibly do. All right, so RJ has a blaster malfunction. That is unfortunate. It's always rough when rounds can kind of get tipped by issues like that, or not that, you know, the result would have been different or could have been different, but you never get to know. It's like you didn't get the chance to do what you were supposed to do. And it's now what, a 4-3v1, and the pressure did come quicker this round. He was hitting more with the Mark III than he was with his Lynx. What were the groupings like with the Mark III compared to the Lynx, though? Just, you know, I'm curious. Obviously, if it was the better performing blaster, then, you know, you do what you do. But I personally myself would have moved him into a more forward position and pulled one of the springers back to take that spot. But that's just an outsider's perspective. I don't know the team dynamic. So I can't, you know, I can't speak to all of that. Switch over here. It's unorthodox, but he does. Okay, so he usually plays something like that and does work with it. The Lynx was a better groupings, though. He wasn't used to playing with Lynx. Okay, that is important. If he's not comfortable with a blaster, you don't want to use the blaster in competitive. You should be using what you are comfortable with, you know, just based on instinct and your average response and kind of doing things without thinking. Even if the Lynx was nowhere near 250 FPS, if the groupings are better, I would still prefer the backfield player using it. But again, that goes back to being comfortable with the blaster. So I would have swapped him in a different position personally. But like mentioned, he does tend to do work in the backfield. So it's just little things. Our next season, things will change. I'm looking forward. I'm hoping I get to play against everybody next season. All right. Sorry, this is Void versus Levi's. Levi's on the left, Void on the right here. Trying to move through things relatively quickly so we can get through everything hopefully in about 3 hours. We're already an hour in and we're on match 4. So yeah. All right, we got a 2-2-1. This seems to be Tan's like floating setup is really hovering by this cover. And I think he gets punished a few rounds for off of the break in that spot. Let's see what the other setup was. We had a what did we have? A 2-2-1. So we've got a mirror setup essentially. And so Levi's loses 2 early on. just to duels, just shooting. Void is doing the thing. They're staying up. They're overexposing. They're not getting punished for it. Um, John moves up off of tags, which is the right thing to do. Apply the pressure. This is Durank, Bay Area player here, just getting shot out from the line that John should have off of that move. This is one of those things where Levi's is a pickup team. Most of the players, I think there were like 3 players from out of state, and then 2 people they picked up day of. So it's tough in those positions to try and make things happen. I'm glad they were able to put together a team to be able to play. See if anything shifts here. We've got a super aggressive run from Kyle, but he does get tagged out off the break. So it's 4 for Void off the break. And we do have an aggressive move from Jurenk here on Levi's, going for that far right mid cover. And he does get in there safely. And no one is punishing him for it right away. This should be Dan here in the back in the baseball cap, although there's 2 bases. That's Jurian on mid, Dan and John here in the back. Dan should be looking out on the left here, taking out this player. Someone tags him, though. Who tags him? Was it Dan? It was Dan or Jurian. Okay, so someone does get him. All right, so he does get punished. He didn't get any work done. He tried to be safe, which, like I mentioned, in a cover where you can, if you can, your team can use it, but it's a rough spot. Again, hanging out on top of cover too much, peeking out, staying out, exposed. They're not getting punished for it, but in later rounds, I do think they get punished for it. I think by Red Tide, if I remember correctly. Levi's has mid, but does get tagged out by who tags him? Oh, they're peeking out on the right hand side, and I think they get tagged from this back piece of cover. It looks like, yeah, Dan and John have lines on that middle piece of cover as they peek out. John does his run off of tags, his good instinct he has, and then they can just sprint up, finish off, and get that all done. All right. If we're going too fast, let me know in chat. We can certainly slow things down. This is a longer one. I think this was like the double draw match. This is Nebula versus Bad. Okay. Ruffle has to change oil. I hope that goes smoothly for you. All right, Bad on the right, Nebula on the left. We have an aggressive start for Bad. And what is the start? 2-2-1, kind of standard start for Nebula. Anthony makes it into cover. Is chilling. Is he applying pressure though? Or is he's just sitting in cover, not... Okay. I was going to say he needs to get punished by this roaming player for Nebula, but their attention was drawn enough, I guess, by the shots coming out. That he never gets the chance to slide to the side and take out Anthony. Because that, had he been safe, should have been the priority there. It looks like 3 are down just off of early shots. And we've got 2 roamers, it looks like, kind of roamers for Bad. Blaster failure number 3. Ugh. That is... I am definitely bummed for you, Eli, that you had so many blaster failures. It's so frustrating to bring something and just have it not work for you in a setting like this. the Nebula bad debate. That's been a debate we're gonna have to address in a minute here. So Nebula's gotten it down to a 2 versus 3 from a 2 versus 4, and they're in relatively safe positions. So this is a possible round, but Anthony should be doing some work. You'll notice Nebula's attention is drawn to Anthony on this side, this middle piece of cover. Some kind of move could be made potentially off of this. Looks like RJ does switch over, but there's a solid few seconds where if there is the forethought there, this player in the tie-dye here on middle could have moved up to true middle, and had a little bit more of a forward aggressive position, or could have even potentially run all the way out to the wide pieces of cover. Because again, we'll go through this. If you've got the players back here, 1 and 1, and you've got 1, 2, 3, this player moves up here, drawing the attention. You can do some really aggressive stuff and try and just pinch things off. That is an option. Again, I tend to think of more aggressive plays to force the opponents to make mistakes. If the opposing team has to think and react to a bunch of things happening, there's more odds of them slipping up and you getting an advantage there. But that is one perspective that, not everyone's going to hold. RJ should have switched shoulders. I will always advocate for shooting from the proper side. It's something I try to push on as many players as I can, but a lot of players just aren't comfortable doing it. And so they will try and peek and they'll overexpose and get tagged out for it. Anthony oversliding, getting punished for it. Okay, since we have some of the Nebula people here, do we have, was the run from RJ here because they thought this person's going for a flag, like an end zone run, and had to chase them down? Because obviously this exposes them and tagged out. If the two Nebula players had stayed in their cover, they could have taken advantage of the situation, I think. So yeah, as they're moving up, and again, this goes back to the movement here. We'll talk about this. So what actually happened instead of this was this player runs up here, gets tagged out. This player moves up here. This player moves up here, or did they go all the way? Yes, they went all the way. So they hopped up here. This player ran here, got tagged out. Let's see. So, yeah, no, it was not that player, sorry. It was this player gets tagged out. Obviously, this is probably a reactionary thing to the run, thinking they need to stop. So that's an instinct move. You don't know what's happening exactly, if they're going all the way or not. So it's not like a massive, mistake that you should never ever make. If they're going for the run, there's logic there. I can see it. I tend to say springers should sit and shoot at people running rather than try and chase them down, because it's harder to aim a springer while running. But different people have different mindsets on that. On the point that swinging wide here is risky, it is, absolutely is. But if all the attention is on this side of the field, then this is a much safer route. Um, so yeah, if they had been able to stay up and they had both players up, if Nebula had two players up, this player right here looks like they overreach a little bit and they could have been tagged out either on the run or over sliding or overrunning rather, and then it's a 2v1 situation. But yeah, it's a instantaneous split moment. You have to figure out if they're just going for cover or if they're trying to make the run. Um, so yeah, that's we have the advantage of looking at things afterwards with multiple camera angles and plenty of time to think everything through. So yeah, just going through things, that is, I don't know, part of the fun to me. This is still a winnable round for Nebula, or a drawable round, which I'm sure is the mindset now, is just don't get tagged out. Um, Nebula's on average like 6 months of nerfing, so Nebula's pretty fresh, which is awesome. That makes me super happy that people are getting into the hobby and getting into competitive relatively early on in their hobby experience. So super thrilled that they got experienced it as well as they did, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. There should be, I feel like there should be some movement from bad, but they don't want to risk. And there's okay, so they go for the run, and Nebula does get tagged. So bad does win this. I would have preferred bad chosen a different route to run for their middle player. Because if this back player gets that call earlier, this player's running in, that should be an easy tag for them to make. But they were distracted by the run here, thinking they've got to get this tag, but they get traded out, and that's tough. Looking at it, you'd have to snap hit that shot on that player running mid and then snap back to that player, because if they do get to this cover, then they're safe to have a free line on you. So yeah, it's tough. That's a really tough call, and I think there's not much you can do in this situation unless you hit that shot early. Yeah. All right. Round 2. We got a false start. I'll reset it up. I don't know who the false start was on. I'll reline up. We'll just scrub through this. We don't have to wait the whole time. Okay, here we go. Aggressive again for bad, and for Nebula, it's a 2-2-1 standard setup. But they do have someone roaming on that far side to try and take out Anthony in the middle cover here. I think this is the round that things were contested. So there's been a whole lot of debate on this round. This round gets overturned and the point gets given to Nebula. I don't know where exactly the call that they were hit or when the hit happened. I haven't seen the hit. I've seen footage that I have not been able to see a hit happen. So I would like if anyone knows, since we've got people here, where was the hit exactly? Because I you know, want to understand what happened. I see darts going over Anthony's head right there. But yeah, this is so we'll get back to after this round is over. Okay, so it looks like the backfield player that was going to pressure Anthony gets tagged out. Okay, so we've got 2 down for Nebula, 2 down for Bad. So it's a 3v3 here. Nebula moves one up, which I think is the right move. Being able to apply a little more pressure, not have someone on that more exposed piece of cover. They're holding down Anthony so he can't peek. Anthony was hit running past Eli to the end zone. Stated both rounds Anthony was tagged but didn't call his hits. I would love to see that footage. I've seen some footage. So if it's when he's running, I haven't seen that footage. I've seen footage of off the break where I couldn't see anything tagging him. But yeah, I absolutely it's important to get these things right. You know, when we've got something competitive, we want to make sure everything is correct. And this is why we need more refs to be able to make, you know, see more things and make the calls. Still on 3v3. Got Anthony on the white piece of cover that can't make a move. And then he finally is able to peek up and gets tagged. And this leads to, I believe, the run. And Eli said his blaster fails again, which that makes me, again, that makes me so sad that the blaster is just not functioning for you. I know you had it set up for 250 and had to make a change like 2 weeks beforehand, so I'm sure that's part of it. So the call is that when he makes his run here, he gets tagged and there's no call on it. Cakey Crafter, yes, this will be up on the channel, so you can watch it whenever, because it's probably going to be like 3 hours long. So yeah, I don't expect everyone to be able to sit for 3 hours. Yeah, Eli saying set for 250 and having to tune it down. 7 days. Yeah, that's a tough one. Respect that you were able to get it done, but that's such a bummer that it didn't function the way you wanted it to. So that is where the call happens. Now, okay, so when I was watching this live, this didn't make sense to me. But this part of this actually still doesn't make sense to me. So even if you tag Anthony out here, stepping out of cover was something that confused me. I'm not sure what the thought process was on this. because you've got someone moving up to mid. I'm just curious on this, what the thought process was, because I don't see the advantage to exposing yourself to try and get these tags. But I don't know what was going on in the moment. It may have been something he saw that made him think, if I move off of this, I'll be able to, you know, get this round, or catch them off guard or something. Let me catch up. There is some discussion going on. Yeah, look, I'm not the person running this event. I don't know what. I wasn't there for the player meeting, so I don't know what the like kind of stuff set up for calls like this were made. But I do agree with what Timothy's saying, that the point should have been erased at most and not over. The fact, so what happened is, for those that weren't there or don't know about this, the round we just watched originally ended with bad winning, which would have given them a 2-0 win for the match. And when it was said there was a no hit taken, they, instead of erasing the point, gave bad the round win. So now going into this third round, I'm sorry, bad. They gave Nebula the round win. So going into this round, it's now 1-1. And I can say on the sideline, we all thought, okay, they're playing one because the round didn't count because there was a no hit taken or something like that. So it's 1-0 still. So we're watching this whole round thinking it's still a 1-0 match. And we only found out afterwards that it was not. So I am in the camp that if he was not hit, or if he was hit on the run and there was no call on it, fixing that, I don't think awards a point. I agree with that sentiment. I have not watched the footage of the run. I've only seen the off the break because that's what I was told was the call. So I can't say whether or not he was hit on the run, but it's certainly possible. And again, not my rules, not my event, not my place to make those calls, but it is something that definitely caused a stir and was unfortunate. And I'm bummed. I don't believe there was malicious intent on any of this. That's my stance on this. I don't believe there was malicious intent to intentionally cheat to not take a hit on that run. But that's just me. Everyone else is welcome to their own view. But I hope that going forward for future events, we don't have, issues like this that can't be resolved. That's right. Everyone was also limited to 15 darts for this final round, as opposed to what was left in mags, because by the time this was overturned, everyone had made it back to their benches. They were loading up for the next games, or unloading in the case of Nebula. So the way this all unfolded, I think, left people feeling frustrated on both sides. And I can see how the way some of this turned out could leave people feeling frustrated. So, like I said, I hope that things are put in place for all future events to have better, quicker resolutions that don't lead to situations where you have to kind of make things up as they go. And this is coming as someone who runs events, and knows there a lot goes in, but we can always strive to make things better. All right, that's enough on that. Let's watch this final round. So we got a I'm not going to say this is 3 stack, but it's pretty close to a 3 stack for bad on this back piece of cover. And people have switched over blasters to springers because there's less darts to work with. We've got the standard 2-2-1 setup for Nebula here. Nothing, there's like no early picks happening. Oh, as I say that, Nebula's backfield player gets tagged out. Still have all your safe cover players. I really don't like this setting 3 people on. So you got one, and this player moves up into that, and they're still double stacked. They're still overexposed, and he gets tagged right off the bat from that. We're going to talk about something in a second here as to why I don't like stacking cover pieces. It looks like Nebula did lose someone that I missed. So it's a 3v3 at the moment still. At the moment, Bad has a roamer, which is valuable, being able to move. Michael here is overexposed, standing up, hanging out. Like, it's good to have information, but sticking out for that long is asking to be tagged. Anthony goes for a move to that, and this RJ makes the right move. This is the absolute correct move. They're making that run. Let's switch over. Making the run here. We've got red side is Nebula. And let me scrub back here really quick. Okay, RJ's on the back piece of cover. So we got 2 here. We've got for the blue side, there. No, not there. There. So this player makes a run for this. And immediately, backfield player makes a run for this to be able to hit that shot and take them out. I don't know if RJ hit the shot or if someone else hit the shot. If it's Eli right there. I wish I knew all of Nebula's player members. Like, I know Eli, and that clearly says RJ. But, like, I can't read everyone else's names. Let me swap back here really quick. I have to remember to go back to that map to talk about one of my pet peeves as well. Yeah, we're going to see the run here again in a second, and the instant reaction to get the tag out. It's the run, get there, the decision to make the move, go for it, punish. Solid choice, the right choice. Because otherwise, he's just going to tear up the side of your field. And now, how did Bad react? They had their roamer fill in the spot that Anthony was in. And now they are down. Worse position. And it's at this point, you know, what can Bad do to stay alive? At this point, they're banking on Nebula to make mistakes. And play for a draw and another round, which I remember watching this and thinking about what happens if they draw. They would go to 1v1s, I think, logically, was my thought at the time. So it was like, okay, they're playing for the 1v1. So Nebula has to make the move here. But I don't remember who gets tagged out first. Is it Michael peeking here? I think Bad just needs to do everything they can to just prevent Nebula from moving. Looks like RJ's trying to draw out darts. Also, remember, each team only had 15 darts per player. Okay, this is what happened. RJ makes run, and as RJ's making the run, the bad player moves up, and I guess is going to make a run of their own. And I guess RJ makes it. Michael misses the shot. Didn't see a hit. All right. So that is so because there were so low darts. Because there are so low darts on both teams. Both teams had a player that had none left. So they attempted to make a run. Unfortunately, the run on Bad came after the run on Nebula started. And Nebula had better position to stop the run. Yeah, let's catch up here. See from the other side. Call a run. So they both start running not too far from each other, but they get tagged out super fast on Bad's side, and Michael for Bad is not able to get the tag. Again, trying to get a tag while running with a Springer at a running target just feels not easy. It feels like staying stationary and shooting at moving targets is going to be better. Another one of the things I want people to do is practice shooting at moving targets because they're a thing in competitive. Being able to do that is kind of important. Yeah, okay. That's the end of that. Okay, let's catch up on chat because it looks like I've missed a fair number of things. Okay. Drac made a quick comment at the player meeting that teams had 2 challenges, which would be refunded on an overturned call, and that overturned rounds would be awarded to the other team. Interesting. So that was a precedent set that if there was a call that was made and overturned, the points would be awarded. Okay. Heard other rumors that at FPT practices there were a few other incidents of not feeling hits. Speculation. And that is speculation. The unfortunate thing is rumors are a dangerous thing. One player not feeling a hit equals you lose the round. It's trying to keep my personal, trying to look at this as objectively as possible going through all of this. Let me just, Buff Daddy saying, I believe more refs. I 100% more refs is the thing. Needing to record something to get it seen is that's the point. We should just lean on more refs with more coverage. That seems to be the prevailing sentiment. Refs aren't cheap, but they are absolutely worth it. There's a comment that got hidden because there is swearing in it, and I have filters on. The point of it being that spreading things of sentiments of players intentionally cheating, without evidence and speculation is potentially damaging. It creates I'm gonna let's switch over really quick here. Okay, this is an unfortunate aspect of all this, having to discuss this so thoroughly. It's a very unfortunate thing that happened, and what I have concerns of is that I don't think Nebula is in the wrong for wanting something to be checked when they believe something happened. Very clear. That is well within the rules to challenge something and try and get it overturned. That is full stop, 100%. Absolutely. Um, where things get murky and potentially issues arise is when accusations start flying and it's, I heard this, they heard that, this person clearly does this, we've got to watch out for them, and it all starts stemming from rumors. When you have rumors start going around and reputations that were built on rumors and not founded, facts of things, that's when things get problematic. And I haven't followed all of this. Like, my energy level for drama is near zero. I don't care for it. I'm not a fan, so like I've tried to avoid as much of it as I can, but it is important to get the right of things for the competitive scene. Um, so this has turned into a thing that I feel like both teams felt like they were wronged at one point, and so there's kind of a clash there, and I want that to be resolved. What I don't want is there to be this continued, this team is cheaters, we got cheated kind of stuff. And I don't know how much of that there is, if it's happening or not. I just don't want it to get to that point. Because it's if it's not founded in fact and evidence, then it's a problem. Again, I haven't seen the footage that he was tagged on the run. Possible he was. I have only seen what I was told the calls were on, in which I did not see missed tags. If I get the footage later and I look at it of the run and he was tagged and didn't call it, and it looks like he clearly knew he was tagged, then that's a different discussion. But I haven't seen that. Don't know. But that's my perspective on this. I just don't want our sport to turn into, anytime something goes wrong, we start to call people cheaters and stuff like that. And that's, again, not what I'm saying is happening here, but it's that thing that kind of, if people start going towards rumors, can lead to that. And so I'm trying to kind of stop or bring awareness to it before it gets to that point. Again, because people can misconstrue things. Nebula had the right to have things reviewed. I have no qualms with that. I'm not here to take sides. I just get very tired of drama very quickly in our hobby. Okay, now that I've ignored chat, let's see if those statements were problematic. All right. RJ at this point was out of ammo. Okay, so I was right. RJ was out of ammo. It looks like, I'm pretty sure the bad player was out of ammo as well, and the run was a better route that RJ took, because it wasn't straight up the middle where you're 5-10 feet away from someone, and they started sooner, so they got to top speed sooner. So they read the situation better, faster. So good job on that. Eli had 12 darts left, so spamming to get rid of the heat on. That's the right call. Eli, draw as much attention as you can so that your running player has the best opportunity to get to the good calls on both players for Nebula to end that round. Well done. You all thought RJ was tagged out. Oh, that would have been That would have been a wild end to the round if RJ got tagged out and both players had like nothing left. Uh, Wanted to close the distance. Only had one or two darts left after the run. Michael, that's Imperial Nerf is who I'm talking to about this. But he's the one who made the run at the end to try and tag RJ. Um, did it feel like hitting a shot while running was hard? Because I feel like it's harder than not. Um, all right. More refs. Footage review should not reward a challenge. Overwhelming. Teams that still had a player advantage should not lose a round over a foul. Um, I agree with the sentiment that the round should be nullified and replayed, or a draw unless it's like breach. But then we're getting into details. This wouldn't be an issue for the more refs to begin with. That's the one thing everyone is saying. Yes, more refs, absolutely. Didn't both teams say yes to anything? I don't know, Romeo. I don't know if both teams said yes to another game. Just happy to keep playing. Didn't want to steal a point from anybody. Yeah, and again, I'm not saying there was malicious intent on like we're gonna steal this round from a just the situation. The residual salt is what I'm trying to prevent. Our scene is too small and too young to have issues like that. Like it's going to be detrimental if we allow ourselves to turn into that. Jack didn't want to replay the round because of dart count. Just give teams 80 inward darts for fourth round. There are ways I think to handle that for sure. But again, I'm not the one running it. Are saying both sides point flip was BS, and some members there's no bad blood. Replay point. I'm glad there's no bad blood for some of the people. I hope they get to the point where there's no bad blood for any of the players, because I really believe sportsmanship is an important thing for our hobby, especially at this early stage. Now, healthy levels of healthy levels of competitiveness 100% support that import and like that. Like I would love, NorCal versus SoCal El Clasico, where it's always a rivalry. Rivalries are great. Rivalries are what you build sports off of. That's what makes things grow, is that storyline. That's important. That's something I'm all for and love. Like, you better believe that in my mind, I'm super hyped to continue to get better health wise and start training harder so that I can play against Red Tide. And I want to beat Red Tide. I want to beat Nebula. I want to beat Rochester Radioactive. I want to do all of that. So like, yeah, that healthy level of intensity is something we definitely should have, but it's the distrust that I don't want to see pervading our hobby. All right, Panda, stop it. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's too kind. I hope you're having a great day. All right. Would 30 rounds per player have been a more fair adjustment? Probably. It probably would have led to, I don't want to say more interesting round because we got to run, but yeah, 30 could have been closer to what teams were actually at. As a participant and spectator of the event, I was proud to see a vast majority of the players calling themselves out without needing refs to intervene. Lots of great sportsmanship examples. That is something that I love about our hobby, is that we have been historically great about calling our hits. We are a sport founded on that sportsmanship aspect that's like, you got me, good shot, I'm going to walk myself off the field. But we need the refs because there's plenty of times you legitimately don't feel tags. That's why we need lots of refs. To me, I want any event I run, I want a minimum of 8 refs. That's my minimum. and I need to be clear here. I'm not here to throw shade on other organizers. Again, I have a low tolerance, energy level, whatever you want to call it, for drama. I just have the way I think I want to run things, and I'm not the one running this event, so things are going to run differently. My comments are my comments. They're not meant to be digs. They're just how I think about things. Um, uh, yeah. Way you word things, Mantic brings up is important. But this is turning into less of a talk about the competitive matches and more about the state of the sport and kind of what we can do to make sure it's in a good place going forward and be good, growers of our sport. And I'm happy that we can all be here having this discussion and, uh, be positive about things. So yeah, being aware of what you're saying and how you're saying it, it's certainly a valuable skill to have and to be aware of. Eli says at the end of the day, the takeaway is that we need to do better both on and off the field. Speak for the team, I say we hold no bad blood against bad or any other team for that matter. We had a huge amount of fun playing against everybody. Eli, that I'm so glad to hear, and I certainly hope that everyone feels the same way. Rivalries are great. Friendly competition is awesome. Trash talking people, spreading rumors online after the fact is similar sentiment to what I was saying. Romeo says after everything, everyone talked and had a good time, and next day played together and fun. Awesome. Stories from both sides say there's no bad blood between the players. Perfect. Fantasy until we get NFC darts that can actually register tags. That's gonna be a large uptick in tech. But yeah, awesome. All right, now that we've gotten through that, and I've hopefully made things clear as I can for myself, and that we're hearing both sides are, feeling good about each other and better after the fact and everything. Obviously, things can get heated in the moment. But I'm glad that everyone kind of, after things cooled down, got to a point where we can move forward and we can hopefully learn from this. And we mentioned more refs. We want more refs, and things will continue to improve. But yeah, all right. Best friends off the field, sworn enemies on it. I love that, Nismo. That is the way to put it. All right, let's watch some footage. That thing we were here to do. All right. Oh, match number 6. This is, I want to say, Levi's versus Frontline Foam. We've got Levi's on the right here and Frontline Foam on the left. This is now the lower bracket. Last match was also lower bracket. All right, we go. Are we gonna continue to see this kind of? Oh, this is a very different start from Levi's. We've got an aggressive left side rush from Durank, 2 in the middle piece, no one on the back left, and 1 back right, 1 floater. I don't hate this start. I actually, the one thing, let's look really quick at Frontline Foam's setup here, and then we'll talk. We've got a 2-2-1. Just the roamer is on the left hand side to start. Okay, so let's switch on over to the map here, and we're going to bring up this, swap over here. Okay, so we've got, who is it? We're on blue. We've got 2-2. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that was an umbrella crashing into my my shed. Awesome. All right. And then 1 back here, 2 up here, and then Levi's was running this 2 2 1 1 1. Was that what it was? It was more like this. Okay. So this is interesting. I don't hate this idea from Levi's. What I would like to see instead, though, is have this player, instead of being here, be here. And then you still have your roaming player to be able to move freely. Because if I look at the footage properly or correctly, it looks like this roaming player is taking shots down here to try and get this. I think that's what happens, but let's take a look at the footage and see. All right, switch back over to the other side here. Yeah, you can see Blake Bertram here on this line. And it looks like they take out the roamer and they take out the running player. So the aggressive play did not work. Drake wasn't able to get into that mid cover quickly or safely enough. Unfortunate. And they did lose 2 players pretty early there. They traded 2 out in response, though. So now we've got a setup that's... Who is this? Who does this favor? I think this favors Frontline Foam because their player, well, God, I don't know. I like that Levi's has the 2 players in the mid cover. Again, I prefer if one of them was back here, but I'd like it if this player was also roaming instead of sitting on this unsafe piece of cover in the back. But good. Okay, he moves back, but then moves up and gets in. Okay. Wow. This is unexpected. Did I miss something? Where did that player go? That was on the back right for Levi's. Did he get tagged out? He did get tagged out. Okay. So the position's not nearly as good as I was hoping, but it is still strong to be in this position of having someone on this side cover. Now, Bert here can move wide and get a better shot on this. And maybe he does that. I hope he does that. Although he's staring, waiting, and looks like gets the shot anyways. And at this point, it's just that one player on that one mid piece of cover with 3 Frontline Foam players. And they get the tag immediately. What could have been something great for Levi's fell apart relatively quickly. Had this player in the back unsafe piece of cover for Levi's moved back off of that cover and instead floated and roamed, I think they could have had something working there. Because having someone up in that mid and then that roam could punish, I think they could have made something work. But yeah, Frontline was able to take advantage of things and not let them apply the pressure necessary to make that work. Let's see. I saw something, I thought. Yeah, we had the only 2 like cameras that everyone had access to were the 2 cameras that I have access to. Everyone else was filming like little stuff, so like you didn't know what was getting filmed when and all that. So yeah, it's going to be hard to always see things off of camera footage, but obviously I would love a world where I had unlimited funding and had a controlled space where I had like 6 to 8 field cameras. Every player had a GoPro on their head, and I could get every angle of everything, not just for disputes. I'm looking for like broadcast stuff. Like, I would love that, but that's a lot of money. A lot of money I don't have. Um, but yeah, it's when you rely on spectators, everything is kind of in flux and up in the air, so you don't know what you're gonna have access to. But I am again so thankful to Fish that he filmed and we have both of these uh, camera angles to work with. All right, moving into round two. See if they go for an aggressive start again on Levi's side, and they do. They lose one. Uh, Thank you, Kyle and RJ, I think, for blocking my camera angle. Let's go the other side. So it's 5-on-4 at the moment. Drank did make it into that cover. If he can stay safe and stay up for a second here, but Blake has seen it and has moved to the side to be able to take him out. And in that moment, Frontline Foam has also moved up to the opposing side. But again, in response, the roaming player for Levi's moves out, gets that tag. And we're down to a 4 for Frontline Foam versus a 3 for Levi's. We've got advantage. There's not really a free roam for Frontline. They're kind of sitting on that side piece of cover. But they do take out the roam for Levi's. A run, just straight up run down the sideline to try and make something happen. I don't know if there was a blaster failure there or something else that caused that to be the play. But that's a rough one to make happen. And now you got someone with a top priming blaster and like a Mark III trying to make something happen against 4. And there's not much you can do in that situation. They lost too many trades, and it feels like a lot of what this comes down to is who's getting the early tags. Like, early tags are kind of winning rounds in these games, and it feels, I want to provide more insight here, but we're working with, there's not a whole lot of cover that you want to be on, so teams are putting multiple people on multiple pieces of cover and move from there, and it's who can get the peak shot on the other team while they're peak shooting. And that's most of these engagements, aside from off the break or your team's way up. And so yeah, I said I want to provide in-depth analysis of all this. There's a lot of similarities happening here. There's something I wanted to bring up that I forgot to bring up that we're going to bring up now. And that is this. One of the reasons I don't like double stacking, triple stacking pieces of cover is you can have 1, 2, 3 people on a piece of cover. And this first person gets, let's do it this way. Let me start from the back. Boop, boop, boop. We've got 3. And then, oh no, our first person got tagged out. Okay, well, we'll just move up. So now we're like this. Oh no, this person got tagged out from the same person holding the same angle. Okay, well, let me just slot in here and fill this spot. Oh no, I just got tagged out by the same person holding the same angle and the same shot. It drives me crazy. Please stop. I'm begging you. Wait a second. Let things chill. If you're automatically filling a spot from somewhere that was just tagged out, and they know there's multiple people on that piece of cover, if you slot in and slide up immediately, it's a pretty fair chance you're going to get tagged out from the same person the exact same way. Just think about when you're moving. Why am I moving up into this spot? Why did the person in front of me get tagged? What should I do to not get tagged in that same situation? But yeah, that's a little thing for me that I see happening way too often across multiple events. It's not just this event. It happened in Foam Pro Tour 2019. It's happened in other qualifiers. It's happened in other events. Like this is a, across the board. Like not calling any one particular person or team out. This is a thing that a lot of teams and players do. So yeah, just putting that out there. All right. This is the winners bracket finals, which is Void versus Red Tide. Void on the right, Red Tide on the left. And we've got standard 2-2-1 for Void, and I believe it's going to be the same setup that Red Tide has been using for the past few matches. Yes, the 2 floating in the back, 2 back left, 1 mid. There's no early tags going on here. Sorry, I need to take a drink of something. I realize I haven't taken a drink in 2 hours, and I'm parched. As I said that, Dan gets tagged out, and Red Tide has the advantage. And John gets tagged out immediately following that, so that back cover and the roamer all tagged out. And Red Tide has lost nobody. So at this point, it's just Void had 2 options, 2v5, to either try and survive or make something happen. And Kyle chose make something happen, which I think is the right play. In a 2v5 situation, your odds of forcing a draw, very slim. I think I mentioned this earlier. Very slim 2v5 odds. Unless you have really good field position. They were double stacked on cover. So we tried to make something happen. Because if you can get 1 or 2 picks, then it's like a 2v3. And then it's a lot more feasible. But yeah, in this situation, it's probably not going to happen. Red Tide making the right play here, spreading out wide, going for left and right. The player on the left does get tagged, but that allows the other players to move up and move into position. That is the way you clear a field out. Anytime you can split someone's attention to multiple angles, you do it. You will see the benefits. Never go the same side on things, or give the opponents a chance to, shoot you one by one by one. That's the way you let them make things happen when they shouldn't. All right, we've got round 2 here. We've got a mid-run, true mid-run from Jurian. He gets in there safely. Let's see. We've got standard setup again for Red Tide. No one's tagged immediately. As I say that, the roamer for Void and the middle player for Void both get tagged out. Jurian peeking directly into the people staring at him, and he gets punished for it on mid. Now down to a 3 versus 5 for Void. If Void just keeps showing themselves, they're just going to keep getting picked off as they are. Again, double stacking on cover leads to things sticking out that may not otherwise. Spreading wide, again, Manatee picks up Kyle. John going for a run because it's a 1v5, and does not realize that Manatee is going for the end zone run. I thought John at first was going for an end zone run, which could have been possibly the best potential option there. He would have had to dodge a lot of darts, but Manatee saw the situation and made the run. Solid choice, solid call for that. All right, that drops Void down into the lowest bracket where they have to play. I named this wrong. This is Frontline Foam versus Nebula in the lower bracket here. A similar setup, 2 roamers. Okay, a little bit different. actually 2 up in the middle piece for uh, frontline foam. So let's go ahead and show that setup, what it would have been. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They lost this early off the break though. And then the setup for Nebula is a standard 2, 2, 1. So we had the 2, 2, and 1. So the 2 roamers could have been beneficial here had they not lost one early. I think this setup for frontline foam could have done a lot of work. They've got more freedom, more room to move, less exposed on this back piece of cover, but you know they lost the advantage early. Let's switch back over to the footage. Nebula making things attempt to work. Lots of pressure being applied. I think it's just going to come down to who can get rid of the roamer first. And Blake's just hanging by that backfield line, making the shot as long as possible. Same goes for Nebula. It looks like this round goes long. Is this... I think this is the double draw match. If I remember right, there was a double draw where the match got decided in the final round. And one of these rounds had a really close end where time was called like right before a team was eliminated or someone made it to the end zone. Let's see. Now these rounds, if this is a double draw, the rounds means these rounds are going to go for quite a while. Eli getting tagged out there, I think it was. And we've still got, so it's a 4v4 now. But yeah, these 3-minute rounds lead to, okay, another one down for Nebula. And this is the situation with again, coming back to this layout and, you know, how it played. There's not much reason to move up with the way the teams are set up at the moment. Like, talked about wanting to move out wide when possible, but I don't think this is a situation where you would move out wide. Now that it's down to 2 players, now I'd start thinking about swinging wide on both sides. Because both players are in the back. Like, at this point, I think you move out. I think you apply pressure. It's a 4v2, right? Yeah, 4v2. I think what I'm doing is, now that we have, let's set this up. It's like this for frontline. They got 2 players, both in the back. And Nebula is what? 2-1-1. 2-1-1. I think you send one this way, and as you're sending the one this way and they start to focus there, this comes this, and as that's happening, this moves here, this moves here, and you've suddenly got a ton of pressure. You've got this whole thing, like, you're probably losing one player on this, but if it's this player over here and they get tagged, that means this player's safe. And if this blue player wants to wrap here, these players can punish that. And this player is shooting across here at that. This is what I would pursue for the way this round could play out. Again, it is risky. It is putting yourselves out there to get tagged out potentially, but that's just it's my perspective on this, that I didn't see as much aggression when there were opportunities as there could have been. It looked like, I think their name was Kale, was attempting to move up, but moved up down like the middle open lane and got punished for it. So now it's a 3v2. And that's another thing to go over. If your team is, if someone's going to move up on your team, apply some pressure for them. Give them something to distract the other team. Let them move a little more free. Or if they're the distraction, get a tag off of their movement. So you're trading out. So their loss is valued. Like you get something out of it for your team. And this is, they're attempting to run to the last. There's like a few seconds left. People are getting potentially tagged out. It's calls, it's someone getting tagged, but the end result is a draw for the round. So we're going into round 2, 0-0. We've got 2-2-1 again for Frontline Foam. And for Nebula, it's a 2-2-1 as well. Although they do lose someone off of the break, which is likely going to lead to a more passive, safe style, since they're down a player, as is the trend. I mean, again, going back to, if you're down, you don't want to lose the round, so you tighten up and, play for their mistakes. Play for the draw if you have to. I think at this point Eli had switched to a regular Springer. Am I right on that? I don't know if Eli's still in here or anyone from Nebula. Come on. Anytime I try and switch camera views while it's running, it gets stuck a little bit. I had to give that a moment. So we do get a trade out eventually. Again, likely I'm going to rewind this here just to see. I think what has happened is he's over peaking and he's just exposed. Yeah, he's sitting up there for a solid 4-5 seconds. So that was actually a drop shot. Nice shot, whoever made that. Also, I think my chat's frozen. Oh my god. My chat froze. I looked up and I've got multiple pages of chat. Well, I'm gonna finish this round and then I'm gonna catch up on chat because I have missed probably 100 messages. So my bad, technology does not always love me. So yeah, we're gonna keep going here. All right, so we're at 44 now. Roamers are on opposing sides now, both sitting in that kind of not safe cover, trying to use that. And again, we know this round ends in a draw. Respect the Nevermind call. And we're just gonna get some riveting, chill gameplay. I think I'm trying to remember how many people stayed up for the end of this round. There's like a minute and a half left in this round. Like I'm sitting here looking at this like, what would I do? What would I suggest? We're in a near exact mirror. Nebula's roaming players farther to the right than, not even. It's near an exact mirror, except I think there's a flywheel as opposed to springers in frontline foams mid. Here I'm not going aggressive. I know I advocate for aggression a lot, but what's I'm gonna bring this up again. I like now I want to figure this out. Like what's the play? Is it really just chill, or is there something we're missing? Is there something we can do that we just haven't seen? It's possible that even I was thinking maybe this person runs wide, like just enough to get an angle on this and take a couple shots. But that's risky in its own because these people can, shoot back, and this person back here can lean out and shoot down this line. So I don't know if I like that. But we could maybe use this movement to draw the attention of these and have one of these players try and slide in here. The thing that needs to happen there, though, is this player back here has to be locking down the attention of this player because they have a nice angle on that move. So you've got to get the attention. So maybe this and the other player here are both focusing that. So while these people are focusing here, you can slot in and have a slightly better spread. Maybe that's the play. But the trade-off is if this player up here gets tagged out going for that and doesn't get one in response, is it worth that field position? Because what are you going to do with this piece? You're going to take shots here. So maybe that's worth it if you can get that tag out and trade, at which point you've got a wider spread and more field control. So maybe that's the play. But I'm not 100% on this. I'm not like, yes, absolutely, that is 100% of the time what you should do. Just trying to think of something that could be an option if you find yourself in a stalemate like this. It's just riveting gameplay. We've got another minute left of the round. Okay, so they did successfully get into that middle cover for frontline foam. And it looks like they were able to punish that spot that I mentioned. So, okay, so that move did pay off. And they got there without having to sacrifice a player. So, another one tagged out. But there's just not enough time left. They made the move too late in the round to capitalize on the 4v2. And now it's just survive. They had all the time. So, looks like Blake was tagged out when he was running. Had they made that move 30 seconds earlier, they probably win that round. So I guess another point for aggression had they done it sooner. All right, final round. This one does not end in a draw. 2-2-1 for Frontline Foam and 2-2-1 for Nebula. This is standard setup. Who gets the opening tag is really, again, what it's going to come down to. Nothing going on early. I think people just might be low on darts. I don't know. Again, I am like 100+ messages behind in chat, like I said, but if someone in Nebula wants to let me know if you were low on darts. I don't know if Blake is still here. from Frontline. If you guys were low on darts, I just heard conserve ammo. So I'm getting the feeling that people are low on darts here. They do get the tag on the roamer for Nebula, though, which does take a lot of freedom away from Nebula. More calls to not waste ammo. I don't know whose call that is, if that's a Nebula call or a Frontline Foam call. Like, nobody's shooting. Halfway through the round and, like, everybody's just chilling. Romer gets traded out, so Blake is tagged out. It's now a 4v4. Gotta move into mid, getting punished. It's now a 4v3 advantage for Nebula. Another move into that mid piece of cover. This time they make it. Immediately peeking out, though, again, I've mentioned I don't, take a second, make sure you're safe before peeking out and potentially getting punished. Do they move someone up into that cover? I'd like to see someone from Frontline move into that cover that's open in front of them from that back left so there's more freedom to work. And Nebula does just lose a player, so it's 3v3 now. And Frontline is moving someone into that cover piece. I'm going to switch because Ton is blocking my wonderful camera view. I think this Frontline player is just out of darts. We've got a run from number 15, move up, and a run to the side. This is a nice spread. They've now got every side covered. Lose one from, I think, that right-hand side player that came in who has just an angle on that back piece of cover. And now they can just run in from every side. And even if 24 gets that tag, the immediate trade out, Frontline Foam does take advantage of going wide. The fact remains, the fact that everyone just saved as much ammo as they could. Again, I don't know how much ammo was left. Nebula may have not had enough to really fight back reasonably there. Maybe when I catch up on chat, I'll find out. So let's catch up on chat because I'm afraid of how much I've missed. Okay. Insta360 go 2 through every player. That would be sweet. That'd be sweet, Eli. I think most of us knew walking in Q3 cover would be very different. Yeah. Definitely had to expect that it was going to be, it's not going to be similar to the other anything else. In the absence of overwhelming evidence, the ruling on the field should stand. Wide angle footage is hardly ever conclusive. It's true. I have spent hours looking at things frame by frame at like 200, 400%, going through footage for like my R League stuff to see if I got calls right and stuff. So you can go down a rabbit hole on that. Multicam would be great to watch. Yeah, if we had access to switchers and stuff like that, that'd be super sweet to be able to do. It's certainly a goal for the stuff I want to run. We start making friends with the droning community. There's issues with drones and stuff and regulations and yeah, but yeah, having drone footage is absolutely fantastic. I bought a drone solely for that reason, and then like I have to get like a drone license now, so I haven't used it since changes went into effect, and it's a whole thing. So finding people that are into that whole thing is definitely a plus. Eli, I'm a friend in the drone community. Well, let's make that happen. Same with Panda. Let's see. So Romeo J, I'm guessing Romeo J might be RJ. Blocking the camera. Attempt to get a drone, few places. Yeah, that's the issue I run into Pandas. Few places to legitimately use the drones without having to, have the proper certifications and all that. Luchathor, I don't know if you're still here while I missed all the chat. I'm glad you're here. Hope you're having a good day. Addy talking about the one time that I had to call a mulligan in FPT 2019 and double stack cover, where we quickly had to figure out which ways we were going to be looking. Saying Red Tide's mid is awesome. You're biased though. Is Chris Oliveira part of Red Tide? Is that the institute? I don't know everyone's name yet on every team, which is something I need to I want to fix. You say Red Tide's mid is mid. Ouch. I'm guessing that is mana, since someone's saying hi mana. Right, scrolling through, people talking. Frontline foam always push together. The reasoning. If you push off each other properly, like, it makes it hard for people to respond, like I was mentioning earlier. The Area 51 strat, I kind of like that name. They can't hit us all. Yeah. Almost caught up. Double draw, yep, confirmations of things. Okay, confirmation they were low on darts. What about 10 darts? Basically 0 darts on both teams. The play was for 3 draws for 1v1s. Okay, good to know. Standoffs, ammo with scares. Okay. We got there. We're caught up. Hopefully chat won't freeze on me again and I'll be surprised by like 100+ messages. Okay, we've got 2 matches left. Let's get back to it. We've got lower bracket finals and the finals. 2-2-1 for Frontline Foam on the right and Void is on the left. We're going to switch to Void's camera now. Frontline Foam did lose one. We've got 2 hanging out in the back, 2 mid, and 1 back left for Void. Not quite the same strat that Red Tide uses, swapping the cover pieces numbers. Tong gets traded out, so it is a 4v4. Or a 4v3, as there was another tag out on Frontline Foam's side. So numbers are in the favor of Void here. Just so everyone knows, Derek is tagged out in case it's hard to see the line on the stream. He just confirms it and moves off now. And they do take Blake out here. So we've now got a 3 versus 2. We missed the tag on Eric for the backfield. Jurian and John making a double run here to the left-hand side. Kyle moving up to mid. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about both of them moving to that one side, because there was a very real chance they both got punished for that. Appears to be potential that when thought a tag happened, it didn't get called, and Kyle gets the final tag out on the last Frontline Foam player. Let's scroll back here for a minute. And I believe at least one of the players was tagged out on the run to the side from Void. Yeah, we only see Jurian in the cover right now, so John was tagged out. They're, in my mind, lucky that they did not both get tagged out. Kyle moving up, the right call, applying pressure. Again, if they'd gone wide on both sides, applying that pressure, and instead of, I don't know, think about it. If one of them got tagged moving into the left, it's possible that it's not enough pressure applied for someone to go far out to their right to get pressure on both sides. But I don't know. I'm glad they got someone into the wide piece of cover for the better angles, at least. As for what Red Tide could have done, getting the tags on both those players moving up at the same time. They're stacked on top of each other or close to each other. They got one, but they couldn't get the second. I don't have an angle to see if that call that 15 was making, that there was a hit that wasn't called, happened or not. The refs didn't call it. I don't know if it happened or not, but yeah, that was their shot there, I think. 2-2-1 again for Nebula, or not Nebula, for Frontline. Same setup as previous round for both teams, actually. No immediate tags out off of the, actually, as I say that, Ton gets tagged out. Again, like I mentioned earlier, Ton getting tagged out relatively early a few rounds here. Losing one of the backfield players for Void. Over. Frontline has the numbers. If they can get the tag on the remaining backfield player for Void, then they could really start to move around a bit like they have done in previous rounds. And here, lots of calls happening. But no real action, no tags, no movement. As I say that, John for Void gets tagged out in that double stacked middle cover. And Jurian immediately in the same spot, tagged out. And Frontline on cue, moving up, spreading the field, and going for the finish. Kyle gets maybe one, but is tagged out in the trade. I will say Frontline Foam has been good about moving off of their tags and making things happen off of those tags. They've got, like, okay, we've got a numbers advantage now that's sizable enough. Everyone's moving for either side cover, mid, like true mid cover, or their side, or, you know, running all the way around. It is something they've done a few times, and it has paid off for them. We had the same start for Frontline Foam, but an aggressive start here for Void. We've got one in the middle cover, two floaters still, one going true mid and one going wide left. The back player for Void, Eric, drops his mag out of his blaster, preventing him from getting into cover. Thankfully, doesn't get punished for it, it doesn't look like. Whereas the Frontline Foam players do lose someone early, lose two early off of this. You see Blake Bertram move out wide to take care of Kyle in this wide cover, which is the right play. Blake is doing his job properly here. And he does get the tag there, so it's now a 4 versus 3 for Void. Void still has that middle piece of cover. They've got a much better spread on the field right now. Switching over. They're attempting to make a run up to challenge that true mid piece of cover. There's now one person on each side, and there's calls going on. And it happens that the call goes through better for Void, and they're able to get the tag out from the middle player, who somehow does not get punished. By all rights, John should have been tagged here. Absolutely should have been traded out, but Jurian is traded out behind him instead, so there's no one on that mid-back piece of cover anymore. It's down to a 2 versus 2 now. One roamer and one back cover for Frontline Foam, and we've got one true mid. Oh no, it's three players left for Void. Ton is still in the backfield roaming. John is out of darts, it looks like. Eric has just thrown a mag of darts to that player in the true mid piece of cover from that back. I don't know if it made it to them or not. It looked like it bounced a little early. Ton has been taken out from the backfield. So it's now a 2v2. And yeah, I don't think that mag made it to John in that true mid piece of cover. He had, that's right, this is the round. he had a mag in his back pocket this entire time and did not know it until someone from the sideline called and told him he had a mag in his pocket, which he thankfully was able to go, oh, cool, I've got darts now. So now it's a real 2v2 situation. Blake has moved far out to the right-hand side, which I agree is the right call here. Rather than sitting on one side, spread the field if you can safely and have multiple looks at multiple angles. Because now, yeah, you have more looks. I think it's the better choice than stacking up. Or is he out? No, he's still in, and he's just slow walking up the field trying to get an angle on John in that true mid piece of cover. They should be trying to punish this. I feel like Eric in this back piece of cover should be trying to punish this move up from... Okay, they traded out. So Eric in this back piece did make that tag a little bit too slow though, and John is removed from that piece of cover. Eric immediately fills it though, knowing that he was tagged, I think knowing at least, that he was tagged from the side that he just traded out. So there's no pressure on that piece and goes immediately for this shot, this line. Now we're in a 1v1 situation. Winner of this 1v1 comes down to the winner qualifies their team for the top 8. Oh, and John was still up. I didn't know John was still up. I thought John was tagged out. So John made a run successfully, but had no darts left. Drops the blaster, goes to the run, and that allows Eric to move up to their side cover. So Eric's now in the best position he can be. And people are making calls that the ref isn't making, and this is one of the issues that people need to just let them make ref call, or let the ref make the calls and no one else is making calls. And Eric does hit the flash shot on this qualifying void for the top 8. Frontline Foam did well. That was a very close match. Probably one of the more intense matches of the day, given the stakes and the fact that it came down to a 1v1. That was probably one of the more enjoyable ones to watch. All right. Up here, failed mag throw. Grab the mag while you're running through. Nice. All right. I'm glad you were able to at least use it. All right. Finals. We've got Red Tide versus Void. Void on the right, Red Tide on the left. A rematch of the winners bracket finals. We've got an aggressive push for Void, putting 1 up into true mid. And the same standard setup that Red Tide has been running for most of the rounds here. And they lose someone early off of the break. And they lose another one in that front mid position. And at this point, there's a numbers advantage. Manatee's taken out. It's just the shots landed in this situation. There was extra pressure up front. Everyone had a piece of cover of their own or space of their own to roam, so they were able to more easily move and peek the way they wanted to. This to me is a better setup than the 2-2 setup that Void had been using previously. Even if Jurian gets tagged out on the run early, there are better odds that everyone else is going to be safe and potentially able to get a trade out for it. A shot grazed your arm. Jeez. Yeah, the early shots, I was surprised watching this one that how quick there were people down off the break on this one. At this point, I think it's like a 2v5, 1v5. And the team should just be spreading out and moving. John goes for the run. Ton does move out wide. Biggs, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. The game was terrifying. She got murked super fast. Yeah, the shots just seemed to land in that. And I don't know if it was just people were shooting better or if having a wider spread of cover pieces allowed people more freedom to be comfortable to hit shots and not feel like they're squeezed up against someone else. But this is, I know this is going to be a more aggressive round here. And this is the all out send 3 people mid, one true mid, one on each side. And John on the far right here is going to run all the way wide. Notably, Eric is tagged out off of the break. And he doesn't actually go into cover. He goes a little wide. I don't know if he's trying to dodge darts, but you know, he gets clipped moving in instead of going directly to cover. And then off the break, we've got the standard red tide set up, and we've got John running in, clearing 2, getting traded out, and there's a big disruption of the line. And you've got Jurian up there. I don't know if Kyle got tagged out early. I can't see. Yeah, Kyle does get tagged out by Real New Deal, it looks like. Jurian, so it's a 2v3 in Red Tide's favor here. Or 2v2? Where's Real New Deal? Okay, yeah, 2v2. Real New moves up into that cover piece. So you've got, looks like, is Ton still up here? Ton is still up. I feel like if Ton backs up, let's bring up the map for this one. Boop, boop, boop. And okay, so we've got blue side is void. We've got Ton here, Jurian here. And then we've got Real New Deal here, and I don't know their name. I am sorry. Someone tell me who is in that cover mid for Red Tide. I don't know their name, unfortunately. My apologies. I want to learn. So this is the setup in this 2v2. I feel like if Ton is not going to swing wide here to get a shot on this angle, which again is risky, Koa. Okay, thank you. Koa is in that spot. I feel like Ton should move wide here. And this way he can stop or lock down Real New Deal and be on this cover and have a little bit more safety, or even roam out here in the back. I feel like that's gonna yield more advantage, because right now I think what happens, if I remember right, is Real New Deal moves up and has the line on this. I think. Let's find out here. No one's tagged it yet. No one's moving. Everyone's chilling. It looks like Ton is trying to take this duel across. But I feel like he'd be better served in that opposite corner. I don't know how long this one draws out before someone makes a move or gets a tag. See, make sure no one's moved. I don't think anyone's going to move on Void side here because they're in true mid in the back. You can see Real New Deal between J-Mom and whoever this person is kind of peeking out there. Not anymore. I don't think Jurian needs to be peeking, like exposing himself here. I feel like he should just be preventing their movement. Or applying pressure for Ton to move. He's peeking different angles at least, which is good. Ton attempts to make a move for the middle piece of cover, which is not terrible, but needed support. That needed Jurian to be applying pressure at that point. And even then, it's still a tough because Jurian can't apply pressure. Let's swap back over here really quick. Jurian can't apply pressure to this because this player can just sit and have a line, you know, from here to here as Ton is making the move. It's like, I like the idea, understanding that something needs to change if they want to win the round and not go for a draw, but I still think this direction was probably better. It forces it forces Koa to expose himself to peek for a shot rather than having a more free angle, and it takes away some of Real Deal's freedom. So yeah, I think that was the better option. But I respect trying to make something happen to, you know, improve the situation and go for the win. Although they were up around, so maybe going for the draw was the better call. Playing for that third round where it's, you know, if they lose the third round, it's a 1-1 tie. They go into tiebreakers. If they win the third round, they win. Rather than now, if they lose the third round, they just lose. Period. So yeah, but I can especially feel off of the start, and now Real Deal moves up, gets the tag on Jurian, and the game is tied up 1-1. I can understand that, especially in a round where you had a good start, it can be easy to be like, we need to finish this. We need to finish. We need to get the win. We've got this. Let's just, you know, let's do it. I think applying pressure on the other side, if you wanted to win, or to try and get a tag, or push Real New Deal back out and then see if there's another angle open up, I think was probably the better call in that position. Michelle saying, I wonder if Ton had flashbacks to finals FPT 2018 where he almost played it too safe. Maybe. That could be it. I don't know if everyone over at Mitch's is still watching, but maybe Ton will confirm that. All right, final round of the tournament. We've got the same strat as round 1 for Void here, and the default strat for Red Tide. John gets taken out of mid. I want to see what got him. He slides in. Looks like he gets in safe. Or maybe he was tagged out on the run and just didn't hear ref call until then. Because it didn't look like he was peeking out at all. Yes, Connor, it is 1-1 at this point. So winner of this round wins the match. Losing the mid piece of cover is definitely rough, and then they immediately lose Ton and Kyle after that. This is kind of a reverse of round 1, where the shots were landing for Void. The shots are landing for Red Tide this time. I think that's Koa moving up into true mid and is tagged out. It's a 3 versus 2. So the play should be play for the draw here for Void. I I don't know if Eric gets punished here, but he's definitely overexposed. He's staying up there for way too long. Joey calls him out on it, and thankfully Eric is listening and tucks back into cover. Eric peeking up again, trying to get that roaming player out. Roaming player is moving up, going for that middle side piece of cover and makes it there safely. Jurian thinks he got him, but is tagged out instead in his place. So now it's a 3 versus 1. We've got a run from, I think, Mana going for that. So there's now both wide pieces of cover occupied. And Eric steps out of cover to try and take the shot, but gets tagged out and unfortunately drops his mag out of his blaster. So the following shots wouldn't have landed even after that. And that is Red Tide winning the Qualifier 3. Congrats to Red Tide. They played very well throughout the course of the day. Teams were not able to punish them for the things they were doing, so they were able to have their free lineup shots and take their time getting tags out and take advantage of their playstyle. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of all these teams, honestly. Let me bring myself back up, I guess. I am definitely looking forward to more West Coast teams. This is definitely a light number of teams for the West Coast, but we know there's more. Looking forward to more in the future. But glad I got to watch all this and go through it with all of you. If I can get more footage, I will do more of these. I enjoy doing these. I've got footage from Boiler Dome I want to go through now, so that'll be a thing most likely in the future. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I'm glad that we've got a couple California teams going to the top 8. Obviously being California based, I would like to see California teams win. That's, a little personal bias, but when calling things, I'd like to be not. So I was impressed with Frontline Foam when they, moved well as a team to take advantage of certain things to close out rounds. I feel like they did that well. When they had those advantages, when they could get to that point. But yeah, I feel like there was not as much for me to go through in terms of like in-depth analysis as I have in previous streams where I've gone through stuff. So I feel like I'm lacking some insight here. Maybe it's just an off day for that, I guess. If so, apologies. But yeah, fun to live the matches. I'm glad. I one thing that going through all this, being there to watch all of it, I wanted to play so bad, so bad. Ugh, Connor, I definitely want to play against all the teams. I want to play against every team there is. All of them I want. But yeah, as far as like the throwing mags and stuff, like there was a call with Drac where questions were asked and things were said, and so things were done because of things that were said. So yeah, I don't know if it ever got written down, or if it was mentioned in the rules briefing. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention for the rules briefing. I was sitting down, so entirely possible it did. That's why I'm not bringing up certain things, because I don't know if they were talked about. But yeah, come to SD. I definitely want to come to San Diego. It is on my list. I want to come down for some competitive in San Diego. I want to go up to the Pacific Northwest because they're going to be getting competitive going up there. I want to go to Uno because they're getting competitive going. I want to go to Texas has some competitive, I think, being worked on. there's competitive all over. There's competitive in the southeast. Like I want to go to all of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. But yeah. Okay. I feel like I want to sit around and talk. But I should probably eat dinner. Is there anything anyone else wants me to go over really quick, or question, thoughts on anything? Yeah. I love sitting here and talking. Yeah, congrats to both teams that made it. I'm looking forward to watching the last chance qualifiers. I'm very much looking forward to that because I think there can be some really good teams there. I know we're gonna have um, a team. I think is gonna be there. I'd be curious to see if Frontline Foam goes. Um, then who knows about international teams? I'd love to see some international teams show up. And then I know Rochester is putting together a second team for their area. So I'm curious to see what level they can be at. They clearly won't be as practiced as Radioactive, but curious what level they'll be at. Um, but yeah, as far as seeing a few more events, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. The pandemic put a lot of things on hold, but working on doing more things. So hopefully that'll be something that'll happen sooner rather than later. But we'll get to that when it's feasible. So yeah, but until then, I'm very much looking forward to seeing everybody when I can, and hopefully the pandemic will be better next year. I mean, I know some people think it's over and are treating it like it's over, but we're back over to 1,200 cases a day in our county, from 200 cases a day a month ago, a little over a month ago maybe. So like we're spiking back up again. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It was the Spanish flu took like 3 or 4 years, right? I'm sadly expecting things to be similar. Um, but yeah, uh, some casual game modes with comp teams, comp games of other games. Yeah, so I'll put this out there right now. I've been playing around with rule sets, competitive rule sets for different game types. Like I think a version of Flux for competitive could be a lot of fun. I've got a rough rule set for it. Competitive capture the flag. I've got a rule set for that that's had some testing done but needs more. Um, what else? There's been talk of a couple other things, but I don't have rule sets for them just yet, so I'm not gonna bring them up. But yeah, I definitely there's more stuff that I want to make happen, than is currently, you know, available. Timothy expecting 5 years with the way we're handling it, it's very possible. Unfortunately, I would love for that to not be the case. Like if there's things I would love to be wrong about, this is one of them. But so far, I haven't been super wrong about the way things have played out, which makes me sad. Timothy, I want to play King of the Hill at Rag again too. Um, I don't know how many more times I'll get to play it, but yeah, hopefully next year. Hopefully next year. Demolition style, Connor. We tried to make that happen, or we talked about making that happen way back when we had the place we played at for Burn, but we never actually did it because we realized the round times would be so long that it would be very slow and it would leave people sitting out a lot. Like people sit out a lot in competitive already. This would be like take it to the next level. Not that it wouldn't be fun, but we just decided like trying to replicate the amount of space available and all that stuff, like it wasn't feasible. So we shifted to some other stuff. But I think it could be fun. Um, but yeah, okay. I should, I guess, go do food, dinner, all of that. Um, because if I don't, I'll sit here and talk for another hour or two about whatever random stuff. Just know that I am always thinking about competitive and how to improve it and how to grow it and what we can do next. So things will hopefully be happening. And to be clear, I want to see all competitive grow. I would like to see FPT continue to grow and improve and all of that. I want there to be multiple big events. Um, Yeah, so that's just to be very clear about everything. I'm not trying to like, you know, eh, trash on other stuff. This is I want everything to be good. Um, yeah. More ammo, more cover. I am definitely in the camp of more cover. That is something I tend to like is more cover for more movement, more options. Um, Eli, yeah, I'll be on Discord. I'm gonna grab some food as soon as I turn this off. But I'll probably be on Discord while I'm eating. Um, we need buckets. So we have multiple buckets being. We have Mitch's buckets, which are like they've got so much baked into them already for multiple game types we use, and I've talked to them about other capabilities as well. And we've got Eli building buckets that I've seen do cool things as well. So like we have lots of options, which is great. Um, Arjun, thank you. Same to you. But yeah, all right. I'm turning the stream off, doing it. I love talking. I want to keep talking, but I'm gonna get food, and I'll keep talking on Discord as soon as I get food to anyone that wants to continue talking. But yeah, thanks again everyone for hanging out. Really enjoyed this. I hope to have more insight the next time we do this, which should be for the Boiler Dome. And if anyone has footage from the previous two qualifiers, let me know, and I will do this for them. I've been wanting to. So yeah, all right, that's enough. Thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of your weekend. I will